What would you do if you didn't receive your property tax bill this year, so you called the tax office to see what's going on, and they told you that it's not your house anymore, it's been sold?
We're talking about what some call title pirates, and this kind of fraud has been increasingly more common in the post-COVID era. An FBI office even put out a notice about it just last week.
The way this works is a scammer will present themselves as the property owner. I am the property owner. No, I am the property owner. They sell the property in your name, take the money, and disappear. After this happens, there's going to be a buyer who has just lost hundreds of thousands of dollars for a property they think they own, and a property owner who thinks they own the property, but every record that establishes property ownership says somebody else does. How could something like this happen? Well, part of it is our obsession with convenience. It's possible to buy a property without ever stepping foot inside the house. And it's possible to sell a property without ever meeting face-to-face with your realtor, the buyer, or the title company. And even though that transaction represents hundreds of thousands of dollars, you can sign all those documents from anywhere in the world with an email address. Now, there are a couple of documents that will need to be notarized, but they can send a mobile notary to you, and the only thing you're going to need to do to get that notary seal on your signature is show them a driver's license, whether it's real or fake. The first thing the scammer will need to do is find the right property. Property ownership information is maintained by the county in a publicly accessible database. And there are numerous companies who offer search capabilities where you can filter those properties for things like no mortgage, owner that lives in another state, or undeveloped land. Ideally, what that scammer is looking for is a property they can gain access to and maybe put a for sale sign in the yard for a couple of weeks and nobody's going to notice. The next thing they would need to do is list it for sale. You may have heard about some of the fake listings on Zillow.
Zillow is acknowledging the fact that there was a fake listing for San Francisco's famous Full House.
These are normally listed for sale by owner, and those scammers are looking to make some quick money. They're either going to require a fee to tour the house, or they're going to ask for a deposit if someone wants to buy the house.
Zillow took it down around 3 p.m. today. The lister said they would only deal with first-time home buyers without representation and was asking for a $4,500 deposit before you could even view the home.
If you spent the last 10 years saving for your down payment and someone takes advantage of your inexperience and steals that money, that's going to be devastating. But a scammer who is looking to make a quick $5,000 or $10,000 will not have the same level of sophistication as someone who wants to steal $500,000. One way a scammer can add credibility is to hire a real estate agent. It would be more likely for them to target a newer agent who's going to be thrilled to get a listing, because a more experienced agent is going to be more likely to pick up on the red flags.
According to the California Association of Realtors, the legal hotline has received several calls from listing agents who have become suspicious that the person who signed their listing is not the actual owner.
There is a case right here in Austin where a realtor is working with someone who said they were a seller, and that realtor got suspicious. So they looked up that seller's resident address in the tax record.
I'm going to show up to his house, and either he's going to be like, oh man, Manny, thank you, you're so awesome, you showed up, I'm excited to sell this lot, or I'm going to get a, who are you and what are you doing at my house? And sure enough, I showed up, his wife opened the door, and I was like, hey, I'm looking for Joe Grosso. And she's like, that's my husband, and who are you?
I was shocked.
This is the real Joe Grosso.
Forging our signatures, my brother and myself, and somebody was trying to sell our land near Stagecoach Ranch over there by Hamilton's Pool. Beautiful piece of property.
Now, you might think this is something that could never happen to you because you live in your house, and you would certainly notice if someone put a for sale sign in your yard.
Like many homeowners, Steve Nelson of Cypress likes to know what his home is worth, so he often checks sites like Zillow. But recently, some unsettling data popped up on the site.
It's hard to describe, but it's just like your heart sinks when you read it.
The site showed Steve's home had been sold a few months earlier, but it hadn't.
The easiest way to prevent something like this from happening to you is to check the status of your property on a regular basis on both the county website and on those big real estate sites like Zillow. If you find any discrepancies, address it immediately. When I bought my house, the county had entered the wrong middle initial in my name and had a mailing address that I was never associated with. I have no idea how it happened, but as soon as I saw it, I made sure it got corrected. The second thing you can do to minimize the risk of this happening to you is to get to know your neighbors. This is especially true if you own a piece of undeveloped land or a house that no one lives in. You might want to drive by regularly, or if it's too far away, ask yourself this: If someone were to put a for sale sign in that yard, is there someone in that area who you know well enough that they're going to call you about it? The third thing you might want to do is evaluate your assessment of the value of working with a realtor. In today's world, realtors are under attack. The narrative is they make too much money, they don't provide any value, and with access to the internet, you don't even need a realtor to find or buy a house. Every example in this video had a realtor who sniffed out the scam. If someone is trying to discourage you from using a realtor, there's probably a reason for it, and it probably has nothing to do with protecting your interests in the transaction. There are billions of dollars of real estate transactions that take place in the United States every year. And with that kind of money floating around, you can bet there are scammers out there working on ways to get it. And even though the total number of transactions has decreased over the last couple of years, the average dollar amount per transaction has gone up. And if you check out this video, I'll show you why that's actually a good thing.